Walt Disney Imagineering's history is bookmarked with wonderful milestones ranging from swashbuckling adventures and intergalactic travels to electro-symphonic celebrations and spectacular nostalgic throwbacks. No Imagineer-handled creation exists today without it accomplishing some sort of artistic or technical breakthrough. There is, however, one attraction that supersedes every other one in the role of defining Disney's lasting legacy. An attraction that for a brief moment allows one to pause and reflect on what the world can be like when people of all forms suspend their differences and unite in a joyous fray. An attraction carrying a goodwill message that transcends theme park boundaries and embeds itself into the worldwide public consciousness. An attraction embroidered with such infectious music that it either brings people to tears from sheer happiness or pure annoyance. An attraction poetically known as It's a Small World.
It's a world of laughter, a world of tears. It's a world of hopes and a world of fears. There's so much that we share that it's time we're aware. It's a small world after all.
Disney's delightful voyage around the world traces its beginnings back to New York City. In the 1960s, the Pepsi-Cola Company had agreed to sponsor a pavilion for the United Nations at the 1964 World's Fair. The company went through numerous ideas for the pavilion until actress Joan Crawford, who served on Pepsi's board of directors, insisted that the company approach Walt Disney to design the attraction. At the time, Walt and his private company, WED Enterprises, had just completed designs for 4 of the fair's other pavilions: the Magic Skyway for the Ford Motor Company, Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln for the state of Illinois, the Carousel of Progress for General Electric, and Circle Vision 360 for Kodak. In February of 1963, Pepsi executives met with Admiral Joe Fowler, who had overseen the construction of Disneyland less than a decade prior. Under Fowler's guidance, Disney declined their involvement due to the short window of time given for the project. That is, of course, until Walt himself found out about Pepsi's request. Sharp as he was, Walt instantly accepted the offer. Walt's involvement with the fair was a crucial one, as he wanted to give people a glimpse of what the future held in store for his theme park in Anaheim. Alas, it was here at the New York World's Fair where he would perfect the audio-animatronic technology that he had first introduced at the Enchanted Tiki Room just a year prior. Despite Pepsi's initial hesitance regarding Disney's involvement, the project was greenlit, and with only a few months of allotted work time, the Disney team quickly went to work on the attraction, then known as Children of the World. The mad dash to get the attraction ready for the fair's opening day was a true juggling act straight out of Wonderland. Walt had come up with the idea of a boat ride, which in turn was designed by Claude Coates and finalized by Aero Development, which handled the hydro-technical components, designed earlier by Bob Gurr. Husband and wife Mark and Alice Davis designed the costumes for the audio-animatronic figures, whose faces were designed and sculpted by Blaine Gibson. Meanwhile, Rolly Crump and Jack Fergus were in charge of all the non-animatronic figures and props. Walt's favorite illustrator, Mary Blair, was entrusted with the attraction's distinct art design. Blair had previously worked at the Walt Disney Studios, serving as an art director for such films as The Three Caballeros, Melody Time, Song of the South, Cinderella, Peter Pan, and Alice in Wonderland, where she employed her trademark style of color and shapes to the film's art design. At Walt's behest, Crump designed a 120-foot-tall tower named the Tower of the Four Winds to accentuate the pavilion's unattractive exterior. Complete with over 100 moving components, the tower's colorful and kinetic nature served as the perfect representation of the attraction's youthful spirit. During its initial phase, the attraction's soundtrack was a cacophonous blend of all the country's national anthems. Walt made a special request to his staff songwriters, Richard and Robert Sherman, that they compose a singular song that would be used to represent the world itself and be able to be easily translated. Coincidentally, Walt had actually used the phrase "It's a Small World" during his conversations with the Sherman brothers to convey the feeling he wanted to get across in the song. The Shermans adopted his phrase and wrote 3 different songs for the attraction, only to have their first one be immediately given the "that'll work" seal of approval from Walt. Finally, on April 22, 1964, after working at breakneck speeds in the course of only 11 months, It's a Small World finally debuted to the public, shuffling nearly 40,000 guests around the world on its first day. The fair attendees were charged an admission fee to ride the attraction, with the proceeds being entirely donated to UNICEF. The attraction proved to be so popular that by the end of its run at the World's Fair, the diminutive doll-like children had been seen by over 10 million people. With the resounding success of his World's Fair attractions, Walt decided to bring most of them back to Disneyland after the fair closed in June of 1965. With the spotlight shifting to California, the Imagineers now had more time and space to work with. The original segments from the New York version were recreated, as well as newly designed segments which expanded the ride's duration by about a third. The one component that didn't make the cross-country trip was the attraction's centerpiece tower. Deemed too unsafe and expensive to maintain, the Tower of the Four Winds was destroyed on-site and dumped into a nearby river. Rolly Crump, however, wasn't shedding any tears over the decision, as he was never truly satisfied with the tower's final design. In fact, his original design for the structure had been changed during construction to ensure that the tower withstood hurricane-force winds. In any case, Crump was hard at work designing the soon-to-be iconic facade, inspired by Mary Blair's style and accented with a smiling clock, an idea suggested by Walt. It's a Small World held its Disneyland debut on May 28, 1966, a premiere that was attended by 36 foreign officials from around the world.
The dedication ceremonies were attended by consular officials, representatives of the press, and thousands of Disneyland visitors. But the very special guests were children from many nations.
Walt Disney, joined by children of various ethnicities, dedicated the attraction by pouring flasks of authentic water from around the world into the attraction's international waterway, an idea that was suggested by the park's event publicist, Jack Lindquist.
Water flown to Disneyland from the major oceans and seas was added to the Small World's 7 seaways. And so it's bon voyage to the happiest cruise that ever sailed round the world.
Faithful to its name, It's a Small World holds the distinction for being the only attraction to have traveled across the world to have a version of itself open at every operating Disney resort. Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom in 1971, Tokyo Disneyland in 1983, Disneyland Paris in 1992, and Hong Kong Disneyland in 2008. That same year, the attraction at Anaheim underwent an extensive refurbishment, which included infrastructure rehaul, a reconfiguration of the queue, and the introduction of Disney characters placed appropriately throughout the ride scenes. From 2011 to 2012, the facade of Disneyland's attraction became the larger-than-life canvas for the West Coast version of The Magic, The Memories, and You, a nighttime show that utilized high-definition projection mapping to display images and animation. In April of 2014, Disney celebrated the attraction's 50th anniversary, with special celebrations being held at each of the 5 parks, as well as at the Unisphere at the former World's Fairgrounds in New York. Every holiday season, Disneyland's It's a Small World transforms itself into a 3-dimensional holiday postcard, paying homage to the numerous holidays celebrated across the world during the traditional winter season. Since its debut in 1997, Anaheim's annual tradition was adopted in some form or another at every other It's a Small World attraction, with the exception of Walt Disney World.
There is just one moon and one golden sun, and a smile means friendship to everyone. Though the
All 5 incarnations of It's a Small World boast their own differences in design, meaning that each of the attractions are unique in their own way. For the most part, the attraction brings riders into different scenes, showcasing children from different regions of the world, demonstrating their culture, language, and ways of life. As the boat enters a new room, the set pieces and spoken language of the song changes as riders cruise through different countries. The attraction culminates in a spectacular finale where all the children of the world unite in a grand farewell chorus. Delighting people of all ages for over 5 decades, and found at 5 theme parks spanning 3 different continents, It's a Small World truly lives up to its loving name. An attraction that wasn't created for thrills or to educate the masses, but to deliver a simple message that reminds people that despite our everyday problems, cultural differences, or natural and political borders, humanity has the ability to unite itself into one harmonious voice. And what a better way of telling that message than through the voices of the world's most precious gift, our children. A message that Walt Disney held near and dear to his heart and continues to be self-evident on the stories he left his mark on. Stories he created for all of those who are still a child at heart.
It's a world of laughter.